key innovation in the world of eMTBs in the past decade has been the Fazua Drive, arguably one of the pioneers of the lightweight eMTB. It's now 3 years since I subjected the Lapierre Zesty to the red rock of southern France. But how things have changed, and Fazua now have the state-of-the-art Ride 60 system. So we're going deep. We're going to see how a motor is conceived, engineered, tested and married. Here then is a quick look at the product, the all-new Fazua Ride 60, which was launched in April 2022 and marked a big shift in many ways from the original Ovation or indeed the current Ride 50. It comprises of the battery, the controller, motor and of course the software. But just how does all this come together? Well, the development, production, sales, service and marketing all takes place just south of Munich. We are here just off Highway 8, heading deep into the heart of Munich, a motor heartland with such brands as BMW, MAN, Audi to the north, the HQ of Siemens, and of course General Electric. Here then is a large pool of skilled labour and some insane knowledge. Actually, talking about cars, did you know that Porsche have invested heavily into this company and have some seriously ambitious plans for the future? Funnily enough, I got my eyes on a fully loaded 911 Turbo S.
So basically we are super happy to have now the backing of maybe the coolest car brand in the world. I guess Porsche made the right decision to say, look, e-bikes will play a dominant role in the mobility in the future. And we now have just a chance to further grow our portfolio of drive systems under the brand of Fazua, and I cannot say too much, but you can also expect something from the Porsche brand as well. Yeah.
Now, of course, Fazua are proud to be able to claim to be the pioneers, the initiators of the light e-bike system. And 2017 was very much a breakthrough year for them when they launched the Ovation system, which was featured on bikes such as the Cube, the Pinarello and the Focus. And today, well, over 40 brands use the Fazua system. The spirit and background of Fazua goes back to 2011 when Hannes Bichler, a mechanical engineering student, and his friends made some prototypes in a garage and painted them in the garden. In fact, 5 bike enthusiasts started the company while studying at university. But I guess you're asking, what does the name actually mean?
We are located in Bavaria, in Germany, and even most of the people that live here don't understand in the first minutes that it comes from a Bavarian saying, say Fazua, so it's pronounced a little bit different, and it means just like something like go on, move on. Yeah, written differently, but it's yeah.
Today, Fazua only focuses on the drive systems to enable light and agile e-bikes to empower the rider to have more fun on the ride. And the vision? Well, beautiful, compact, light and integrated, reconciling beautiful design with maximum bike experience. Great days on the red rocks of the south of France on the Ride 50 on the Lapierre. But folks, we have an all-new Ride 60 system, and this is where all the development and concept work takes place. This, folks, is where all the boffins are, hiding amongst the plants. Hello, boffins. Yes, in this room, it's all about protocols and programming, whatever that means.
The idea of Ride 60 is going back to the history of why the company was founded and going back to Ride 50. And the idea, it was always meant to be a drive system for light and agile and good-looking e-bikes, just with the sweet spot numbers.
Now, obviously, I was intrigued to find out just exactly what the sweet spot numbers were.
For us, the sweet spot numbers are 60 Newton meters of torque and 430 watt-hour battery. Why? The 60 Newton meters is something you need on, or what you need quite often on an eMTB. Even if riding uphill on the trails, you just need slightly more than what Ride 50 could deliver. And yeah, that's why we choose the 60 Newton meters. And the 430 watt-hour battery is just a relation to the power the motor has, because I always want the power for the whole ride and not just for a part of it.
Wow, guys, here is an example of a bike using the new Fazua Ride 60 system. Light, agile, and as Matthias pointed out, with the perfect power to weight ratio. Okay folks, here we are in the prototype workshop. Yes, you've seen a CNC machine a million times, but what you guys need to know is about the gold, and that is the new Ride 60 system. So we've got the combined motor and gearbox here, 1.96 kilos just for that. And we have two different types of battery. We have one which is permanently fitted into the down tube, and also one which is demountable. Weight around about 2.3 kilos, but I'll talk about the method of fixing a little bit later. One thing which is really important to understand with this new system is that the motor gearbox is fixed, but it actually pumps out 450 watts peak power. But guys, it's not just about the numbers, it's actually about what this small compact unit allows the frame designers to do. So as you can see, it allows them to encase that motor and gearbox totally, making it hardly noticeable.
Main evolutions, I would say, is that now the motor is fixed to the bike. With Ride 50, you could remove motor and battery. Now with Ride 60, you can just remove the battery. We discussed that several times internally and sometimes quite emotionally, because that was the USP of Fazua's engine. But in that specific use case and thinking about the future, which I thought it's perfectly to do it like this.
And also the battery. Now, folks, previously the battery, it was 250 watt hours previously, wasn't it?
That's correct.
I mean, 430, and that's actually super light. And obviously that's to go with the increased torque, the increased peak power as well, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
What kind of range are we talking on a battery like this?
On a mountain bike or an e-mountain bike, we're talking about in average, so in blue mode, and with average support, you easily can reach 40 to 50 kilometers and 1,200 to 1,500 meters in altitude.
Wow, crikey.
So even with full power, you may reach the 1,000 meters in altitude.
So, Matthias, we're talking about prototyping and development. What exactly have we got going on here?
Here we see the full evolution of the Ride 60 system. That one was the very first concept we had, still just 3D printed. Then here we are talking about the first A sample, where still the motor was removable, which we changed later on in the design. Here with the next sample setup, we already have the fixed battery, still different motor mountings, and then so on. So this is the full evolution of Ride 60 till the very end, the production.
And you see the
version.
You see the cooling on here on the casing. Right, the testing lab. What do they do here? Well, one critically important thing is they test how much an e-bike motor can actually deal with water. And in reference to the Ride 60, it seems quite a lot from the testing that Fazua do. In this particular lab, we're looking at repetition testing. So, for example, the drive unit is subjected to 300,000 meters of vertical. The battery and housing get subjected to over 200 Gs of force. For that in perspective, a space shuttle exerts about 4 Gs on an astronaut. The battery gets taken out 10,000 times to test that it's up to the job in hand. And put that in perspective, it's like taking the battery in and out once a day for 27 years. That's pretty crazy. And when it comes to the battery, that gets put through 2 million vibration cycles. You might say it's a bit over the top, but nevertheless, it's pretty rigorous. Interesting fact, folks. Now, Airbus actually used to occupy this building, and they used to test rocket engines right here. Now, in a minute, folks, I'm going to take you for a quick spin around the production side of things. But before we do that, I want to really acquaint you with the display and the remote on the Ride 60 system. So what is really refreshing on this bike is that the remote and the display functions are separated. And there's many reasons for that, actually. One of the first reasons is because if you've got the display functions sort of married into the remote, then it becomes a little bit of a clutter in that area. But most importantly is the fact that if the display is located in the center of the bike, then your line of sight is far better when it's in that particular position. So what have we got in terms of the modes on this bike, or the support? Well, we've got River, Breeze and Rocket, but a really cool feature is when you hit that button, the button which just happens to be possibly one of the neatest remotes on the market, you push that forwards and it gives you maximum support of 450 watts for around about 12 seconds. Loads of other features, folks. If you press that to the right, walk mode. We've got a really neat little USB port in there, and remember, you can connect via Bluetooth ANT+ if you want to connect up to Garmin or Wahoo or Sigma, because let's face it, if you're using a bike like this, it's an e-bike and it just gives you so much more information than a standard mountain bike. Okay guys, this is totally legit. This is the first time I've removed a Fazua battery. I'm guessing it. Oh my God. Seriously, that is it. It's as easy as that. Put it back in, and that's it. It's done. Removing batteries doesn't need to be complicated. Matthias, it seems to be increasingly the case that if you haven't got an app on an e-bike, you're pretty much nowhere, right? I'm assuming you've got one that's up to date?
Sure. we already had one for Ride 50, and we for sure have one for Ride 60.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. You need to have one.
Yeah.
Not just because everybody has one, but because it makes sense. A sportive bike needs to be customized, and that's also one of our main features. It's really the customizer, and there we have two different possibilities. One is more for the techie guys who really know what they're doing, and one is more an easy version where you go through a questionnaire where you enter age, sex, weight, how fit you are, and so on and so on, and then the app calculates the right settings for it, and you even can change that afterwards. So you really can do some fine-tuning afterwards as well.
I guess it's a bit like the suspension settings on e-bikes. It's a really important part of the kind of the information that you give your customer, right?
Absolutely correct. I totally agree. And another part is for sure riding dashboards, because I mean, if you're riding an e-bike, you have already quite some data inside, and in a dashboard it's been shown, and many other features will come in the future as well. But I totally agree, the app will be a major part in any e-bike out there in the future.
Okay folks, let's do a hot lap of the production facility here in south of Munich. First of all, we have got the gearbox assembly. Keep inside the white lines. Moving around, next up, palletization. Up here, we have got the motor and torque sensor assembly. Guys hard at work there. Keep it up. Go on, Nick. Okay, lap number one. And now we're into the marriage of the gearbox and the motor. Very important part of the process. And finally, the end of line testing. Wow, what a fascinating insight into an exciting new motor from Fazua. But folks, please join us next time from the mountains of Kitzbühel, where we get to ride the all-new Ride 60.